Hello everyone. In the last class, we saw which are the different methods of food preservation. Now we are moving on to nitrogen fixation. That is how some of the organisms in the soil helps in nitrogen fixing. You will also be seeing nitrogen cycle. Let us first see what is nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation means converting atmospheric nitrogen, that is the gaseous form of nitrogen, N2, to compounds of nitrogen like ammonia, which is NH3. There are different ways by which nitrogen can be fixed. One is by the bacterium called rhizobium, which you have already learned in the previous year. Rhizobium, which is present in the roots of leguminous plants. It lives in the root nodules of leguminous plants such as beans and peas. You have studied about symbiotic relationship. These relationship between rhizobium and leguminous plant is an example for symbiotic relationship. The next method by which nitrogen is fixed is by lightning. The high energy of lightning breaks the nitrogen molecule in the atmosphere, and these nitrogen atoms will combine with oxygen and dissolve in the rain and come down to the soil. So, lightning is another natural method by which nitrogen is fixed. Look at this picture that shows the root nodules in leguminous plants. It is inside these root nodules the bacterium called rhizobium is present. We know that 78% of our atmosphere is made of nitrogen. This amount of nitrogen is kept constant always. It is kept constant with the help of nitrogen cycle. This picture shows nitrogen cycle. You can see how there is an exchange between the atmosphere, the soil and the plants, which helps in keeping the amount of nitrogen constant. Let us see it in detail. We know that 78% of the atmosphere is formed of nitrogen gas. We have already seen that atmospheric nitrogen cannot be used by plants. It should be fixed first, only then the plants can use it. Let us see how it is being fixed. Let us see nitrogen fixation by lightning. The energy from the lightning will break the nitrogen molecules and the free nitrogen atoms will combine with oxygen and form nitrogen compounds that can be used by plants. The next is nitrogen fixation by bacterium in the soil. As we already said, some bacteria are able to break the nitrogen bond and convert atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen compound. These nitrogen compounds can be used by the plants. They absorb it from the soil and use for making their proteins. Now, animals which feed on plants eat these plants and absorb the proteins. These proteins are returned to the soil either through their waste material or when they die. These waste materials are then decomposed by bacteria and fungi. So, when plants and animals die or from the plant and animal waste, the nitrogen present is returned into the soil. Now, some other bacteria which are present in the soil helps to convert this nitrogen compounds again into nitrogen gas and it is released back to the atmosphere. This is a recap of nitrogen cycle. Go through it. It shows the different steps in nitrogen cycle. So, the nitrogen in the atmosphere is fixed by different methods. It is used by the plants for making proteins. The animals eat these plants, and from the plant and animal waste, the nitrogen is returned back to the soil, and some bacteria in the soil help to return the compounds of nitrogen into the atmosphere as gaseous nitrogen. So, this is how the amount of nitrogen is kept constant. As this process keeps on repeating, we call it a cycle.